like morning sun, chasing points, the game's begun. Big decisions week by week, fantasy glory's what we seek. Pick your squad, the clock won't wait. Captain choice will seal your fate. Two enthusiasts breaking it down. Fantasy kings, we're taking the crown.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Tinker Time, an FPL pod, the show for every fantasy Premier League manager who's already second-guessing their 5th or 6th drafts. It's Sunday, August 10th, 2025, and whether you're wildcarding in preseason or just here to scout some differentials, you've come to the right place. I'm Matt, alongside Jim, and we're here to help you tweak, test, and yes, you guessed, tinker your way to the top of your mini-leagues. We'll break down the best value picks, fixture trends, and hidden gems, so you don't have to stare at your squad screen in despair. So let's pop the hood, crack open the spreadsheet, and get tinkering. Jimothy, how the hell are you?
Doing well. We are 5 days away. And as I'm saying that, it might be 6. It's 5. Friday afternoon.
Sometimes you don't count the day that it actually happens.
Plus, we have international listeners. It's already the next day.
That's true.
What are you going to do? But I'm excited. I hit it pretty hard on Friday after re-listening to our conversation with the commissioner.
Did you touch your fantasy team too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that looks completely different. I'm top heavy. I'm real top heavy now. We'll dive into it later.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if you're talking
reaction.
FPL, if you're talking about your.
It's been a long week. I have not. I've not showered since Friday morning.
Can confirm for those audio only listeners.
Yeah, it's warm in here, so
it's not
going to be great by the end. But
I tell you, I'll tell you what is great. We had such an amazing reaction from the community after our last episode. People loved our guest.
Couldn't get enough.
We're double dipping. We went back to the well, and we have today a very special guest. Someone that I've known forever, literally forever.
Wow.
I'm so excited to have him here today.
You're kind of drawing it out.
Should
I
we
think
tell
you're
the people who it is?
Yeah.
We have the one, the only FPL Black Lab, Zachary Niles. Zach, welcome to the pod.
Fellas, it's good to be here. It's been a fun weekend. A lot of tinkering. Community Shield is like always the kickoff of the season to me. And like Jim said, 5 days away from letting the fun go.
Now, I think the real reason we had you on is that you texted us saying there was some pretty bad lies about Arsenal being thrown around. And I listened back. I couldn't find a single thing we got wrong about Arsenal.
Other than the pronunciation, misquoting the manager, misquoting the price tag, and the outlook for our season. But we can dive into that a little bit later on.
You're talking about gherkins?
I thought we were talking about baby products, and you guys first started talking about that. It took me a few minutes, but yes, Victor Gyökeres is
Gyökeres? This is now the third pronunciation we've had.
That just proves that nobody knows how to say his name.
Yeah.
Well, let's trust the Arsenal fan on this one.
I don't know how often we're going to be hearing it being screamed after goals this season.
Jim must not have watched the friendly yesterday when Arsenal took the league by storm again.
Preseason.
Setting up for our solid second place finish and no trophies for another year. We digress.
We love consistency. We love consistency. Well, before we get too deep into it, why don't you give us a little bit of your background? Why don't you tell the folks your FPL history? Talk a little bit about FPL Black Lab, too. We're super excited about that.
Yeah, so FPL history dates back to 2012 at the time, which is about when I got into being a soccer fan. As we just discussed, an Arsenal fan. More so the last couple years, taking FPL a bit more seriously. Last year was my best year. Top 10% in the world was the finish. Won our mini league, as we discussed last week, back-to-back cup champion, and decided to kind of leverage that into content creation of myself, FPL_Black Lab on X. And I'm just going to be posting some of my tips, some of my strategy. And as we'll see a little bit later on, I'm taking a different approach than most to this season, which I think will create a new challenge and benefit my team and my score.
Different is putting it lightly.
It's a risky strategy, but I think there's a lot of players that people are missing out on by getting a little too siloed. And for reference, last year I was anti-Holland from the start, and it worked out really well, and also pivoted a couple other times earlier to Mateta and other players throughout the year. Got on Marmouche early on last year as well before his little good run. So hopefully we can take some of those tips from last year and push it to a higher rank this year.
Honestly, I don't know how we could get better. We won the league, back-to-back cup winner.
Top 5% would be great. Top 100K finish would be fantastic. But ultimately, it's winning the mini league.
That's true.
The mini league's everything.
Is what we want.
Well, thank you for the background. For one, I've always appreciated your dedication to the game. Let's just put it that way. But before we get into your draft, or one of your early drafts, there's still plenty of time to switch things up.
5 or 6 days.
We got to talk transfer rumors. It's been 3 days since our last episode. There's been a flurry of moves. Like Zach mentioned, we've also had a lot of friendlies over the last couple of days.
Always fun to read into.
We've got some lineups that we can assume will definitely be true on day one, game week 1. Why don't we start with everyone's favorite, because no one's tired of talking about him. Xander Isak. What's the latest?
I don't think he's going to move.
I don't think he's going to move either.
We're running out of time here. Does Liverpool really want to buy him not ahead of the season? If they can't get it done, how much are they really going to get Newcastle to budge?
Eddie Howe has had some really interesting quotes. I think he, at one point, said...
Don't misquote him, Zack.
I'll text him later just to confirm. But I'm pretty sure his latest quote was, of course we want him here with us, but he's not. But he is a Newcastle player, so he will be with us. I don't know. Listen, my stance has been consistent. When you have players in the dressing room that don't want to be there, that have voiced their desire to leave, take on a new challenge, whatever that may be, I think you move on him. I don't think his value is higher than it is right now, just as far as his output. When you've got a club like Liverpool calling to pay the premium for your guy, Champions League aside, right, Newcastle, they would need, in my opinion, immediately go out and sell because they're going to need to retool. But I think they got to make this deal. I think they got to get it done. I think they got to get it done and move on.
Who are they going to really replace him with that they're going to be happy with?
You don't just replace. I think the commission called him last year the best striker in the world, and based on his stats and what he was projecting to be, probably would have done the same thing this year. I think if you're Newcastle, it's kind of gotten to a point where you have to sell like this week.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at your opening 2 fixtures of Villa, Liverpool. You don't really want to get too far behind them, and we know the top of the league this year is going to be an absolute fight. And you might as well take the money, invest it this week, go get Wissa or Nicholas Jackson or somebody take that. Also, I saw Anthony Gordon, I thought came off with a knock in their friendly yesterday, who was playing up top. So they have nobody. You're in, you spend all this money, you're completely leveraged from a financial standpoint. They don't have much of a choice, and Isak's kind of holding him hostage in that perspective, where he wants to move.
It's honestly reminiscent of the Kane days, where Kane wasn't showing up to preseason. I think he missed the first game.
He did.
The year before he left. And it was like everybody knew eventually he was going to go. Tottenham dragged it out as long as they could. Didn't get the replacement.
Still haven't.
Yeah.
From an FPL perspective, my hope is he stays.
Yes.
I think it opens up. I mean, right now there's 0 Newcastle assets that anybody really wants in their team. You put Isak as the 9, all of a sudden Gordon looks good again.
Yeah.
Alanga looks like an interesting selection.
Murphy made some noise towards the end of the campaign last season.
Murphy, you look at Tonali.
Even.
There's other players, but without Isak, you don't want to go in the defense because they're going to concede goals. You don't want to get anybody attacked because they're missing the best striker in the world.
Yeah.
And vice versa, if he goes to Liverpool, now all of a sudden there's a plethora of options there where it's like those goals are going to get spread out across those front 4.
These players need to stop thinking with their hearts and start thinking about FPL.
Yeah.
If they would just realize how much more valuable they are to us, the fans.
This is, 6 million people that want to know?
Exactly what's going to happen.
What is 150 million?
I mean, supposedly there was like a
transfer.
handshake agreement that, Isak would be able to leave this summer. Liverpool for him, I mean, of course you want to jump at that. I mean, Champions League football, reigning winners. I mean, you're going to step into a number 9 with 2 of the best players in the world next to you in a great squad. I mean, it makes sense for him.
But if he wants to be the man, he should stay too.
Well, Salah's not going to be there forever.
Fair.
So, yes, it's going to be crowded this year. But does he get a chance to win win hardware this year? Then when Salah moves on, he could be the guy.
And from Newcastle's perspective, if he doesn't have as good of a year as he did last year, what's that value look like?
Sure, there's always that
12
risk,
months
though.
from now. So to them, I mean, you're going to sell him literally after his best season.
Yeah.
They should have done it earlier in the window if this was a opportunity, because you would have had Arsenal looking at him, Real Madrid. You would have had basically every team in the world looking at him. But
Was United ever linked to him?
not seriously,
so.
but, money-wise, they probably would have been in.
They got their boy, Benny boy. I think we can all agree, though. He's got to go, and he's got to go this week.
It needs to be clear before.
I'm exhausted talking
Thursday
about
night.
him. Like, I'd rather start talking about his returns. I don't want to talk about where he's going to play. I just want to talk about how he performs.
There's dominoes to fall. I mean, if Wissa moves to Newcastle, he becomes an interesting asset. It then also frees up Thiago at Brentford at $6 million, who's a cheaper enabler, who'll be starting probably on pens.
Would you trust Brentford if Wissa leaves.
I don't trust a single player on
Yeah.
Brentford this year, to be completely honest. I think they're going to be absolutely dreadful.
Relegation watch for me.
That's a good shout. But still, $6 million a penalty taker. They're going to score goals.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Jackson at Newcastle, in my opinion, would be an interesting move. I mean, he had a decent FPL
There's
year
so
last
much
year.
Yeah, I guess
heat on Jackson.
as a backfill to Zack at Newcastle would make you confident. So Wissa, I don't know if him on his own, I would be thrilled. Jackson, I think I'd be
Jackson
a
is
little more in.
Jackson at 6.5 would be a really interesting shout. I mean, 121 points last year, started 28 games, 10 goals scored, 6 assists on an underperforming Chelsea team. We could all say they've looked better this preseason, but Jackson, we saw the chances. I mean, he was getting 3-4 chances a game. Underperformed his XG. You know, I would look at him at 6.5.
$6.5 mil is
6.5
a really
great.
interesting price.
I mean, who's he competing with at 6.5? You got him. There's Strand Larson at Wolves.
Jesus.
He's not playing ever again.
6 million. You have Fulkrug from West Ham. So, I mean, out of those selections, I have a little bit more confidence in Jackson.
Yeah.
Diddlywop. I mean, I don't know. The other thing, too, he's suspended until August 22nd. So do you really want to spend the funds right now and bring someone in who's going to be suspended for game week 1?
For 6.5,
No, he'd be someone you'd keep on the watch list and see how he performs and fits in. I mean, by the time he gets there, gets up to speed training wise, it would be a few weeks out anyways.
What if Watkins goes? I haven't seen anything on him in a while.
I don't see him going anywhere now.
I think Villa, I mean, I know they just signed that forward this week. It looks like he plays more off the right, on the right side. I can't see Villa selling him in this late in the window.
But if Newcastle sell to Liverpool, have money to spend,
That's true.
crazier things have happened.
I think wherever Watkins goes, he's a nailed-on selection.
He should be. I think he's earned that
just
at this
proven
point.
it year after year after year.
What about your boy Fulkrug? Am I saying that right? He's got the umlaut. Fulkrug?
Nicholas?
Nicholas. I don't think there's no... We'd looked at this.
Yes. N-I-C-L-A-S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No O.
Well, are we getting into friendlies roundup? Any other transfer rumors we wanted to talk about?
We can do whatever you want.
What about Savinho?
Late breaking news.
Yeah. Zach, you wanna spill this one?
Yeah, just before recording, saw some tweets coming out from Fabrizio that clubs are talking between Tottenham and Manchester City about Savinho. Supposedly, Thomas Frank believes he will be the ideal signing to finish out the window for Spurs. So I pass that back to you guys. I mean, I could speak from an FPL perspective where I think that lands, but from a pure Spurs perspective, what do you think about that move?
So he would play on the right side, presumably.
Predominantly a right winger, yeah.
So right now that position
That's
is
tough.
Brennan Johnson's to lose. Kulusevski's injured.
Kulusevski's injured.
Even though we've seen Kulu drop in a little bit deeper last season in Ange's system, kind of be a little bit more of a distributor. He
Didn't
did
love him,
okay in that role. I don't think that's
he's-
really where he thrives.
He's best dribbling down the right and then cutting across.
it's
tough.
an interesting transfer rumor.
It's not really who we need from a pure positional sense.
I'm super curious why City would be willing to move on him. I mean,
Yeah.
he was supposed to be the successor to Mahrez. They gave him the 26. Why would they be willing to cut bait so early? Especially, it's not like they broke the bank this transfer window.
They have
Crowded.
Marmoush can play on the wing and most likely will with Holland starting. You have Ryan Shirky, who they brought in this year for some good money, who's another attacking midfielder. So he's changing up his system.
But who else would he compete with on the right? Like Silva? Gundogan? I mean, Gundogan's not going to play on the right
Foden will be on the right.
Who's the guy they got from Wolves
this season.
2 years ago? Sure.
Nunez.
Nunez, he'll be the right
He's
back.
right back.
You have Doku on the
Yeah.
left. And who knows, maybe City's got another late move planned in the window as well.
Yeah. He'd be an exciting name. I think, I mean, anytime we can get City scraps, you got to think like maybe there's something there. They can't have every great player. He had some flashes last season. His numbers aren't going to like jump off the page at you, I don't think. I just don't think he fills the need of the moment.
And last year, 21 starts, 1 goal of an assist.
11 assists?
I will say with Solanke in the middle, him coming off the right, service in.
The problem is, I don't know how that helps the squad. Because if you put Johnson on the left, that's way out of his position. He's played up top. He played up top at Forest, right? I don't know. Honestly, I would be more excited about Grealish, who is also in talks with Everton now.
I've heard
And that looks like it's going to go.
that one looks like it's going to go through. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you had to think who's more of a threat, Brendan Johnson or Savino. I may lean Savino.
Probably.
Like, BJ had a really good campaign last year. Who doesn't love a BJ? But
he's young and he needs the minutes. We spent a lot on him.
and how many
he's not
goals
gonna
did
play.
he have that like were kind of just deflections that you just can't defend them, right? He's making his run across the box, which give him credit. He's got that movement in the box, but he's not going out there and creating. I think Savino on the ball is more creative. I think he's more of a threat. He'll give you a little bit of that, like, vintage Sun where, he's going to take you one way, cross over, kind of cut back and curl one in. I think he's got that in his book. I don't know if BJ has that.
I think if Thomas Frank wants him, how proven Frank has been with sort of offensive talent in the Premier League, I could see him thinking this would be almost like his Mbuomo type player, like that right number 10, cutting in, being able to go right. I think as a Spurs fan, like it would be exciting signing to take him from City, give him a bigger stage, more playing time and more chances to create. I think would be more exciting than, Brennan Johnson, who's been there and has been okay.
Yeah. There's also a case like we weren't good last year, so we shouldn't say no to any new player coming in.
That's true. At what point you just say, yes, this person's more talented than our squad. Get him.
And if not, it's another depth piece, right? I mean, you just lost Madison. I mean, up top you have, there's still a hole there that Tottenham could definitely fill.
Yeah,
We'll see.
And I guess that's also true. They played twice under Frank, so we don't know what formation he's going to run.
We don't. They had that shellacking against Bayern the other day. Not what you want.
Anybody else? I only had Grealish on the radar. I think that would be a great signing for Everton. I don't think as an FPL asset he'd be worth it though. I think he's 6.5.
One FPL asset, and Zach, you highlighted him recently in a post on your account. I'm gonna butcher this. I think on our first episode I called him Titty Reindeers. Because
That seems like something you would say.
Does his name have a JJ in succession?
Yes, I always pronounce it. I pronounce it Tijani Reindeers, and that is also
Titty Reindeers. That's close.
Wrong.
Ishmael, former NYCFC. What was his name? Tajuri Shradi. He had a nice little run.
He went to Europe, right?
Oh, he's probably from Europe.
Championship squad?
I don't think.
Yes, definitely. We were right about this.
Yeah. Well, sure. No one's gonna fact check us. Jesus Christ. Check us.
It's Sunday. You
Cut
can't say
that. Cut Jesus. We're a Sabbath pod. Zach, you're high on Tijani.
Yeah, so I've been on him since about a week and a half ago. Actually, 2 weeks ago at this point. I posted on the FPL Black Lab Twitter account. He was actually one of my players at the time, my number one underrated player, underpriced player. At the time, he was around 5% ownership. At this point, I'm sure that has gone up after this weekend.
8.3.
Looking at 8.3, so still actually decently low, less than 10%. 5.5 million. You look at him compared to some of the higher priced players: 7.5 Eze, 7.5 Gordon, 7 million Rogers. He had 10 goals in Serie A last year compared to 8 for Eze, 8 for Rogers. He had 14 attacking returns compared to 6 for Eze, 18 for Rogers, which obviously was a breakout year. Who also started at 5.5 million last year.
Steal.
And chances created, on which I would like to say on a completely subpar AC Milan attack, they very much underperformed last year. He had 47 chances created compared to 52 for Rogers. So when I look at Reinders at the time, the biggest risk was minutes, obviously with Pep, a lot of roulette there in the midfield. However, with a recent injury to Rodri, Pep's comments after the friendly the other day saying he can't bench this guy, the way he enters the box late. He was the signing to replace KDB in a lot of ways. He is a very attack-minded CDM. I was impressed with him watching him at Milan. I follow Serie A pretty in depth. So he had a great season. He's very attack-minded, and I just think at 5.5 million, it's a route into City. Not going to start every week. Probably not going to start in your FPL squad every week either. But at 5.5 million, it's one that if he gets off to a really hot start, you'll see that price and ownership skyrocket, and you can gain some value in your squad there.
I'll admit, I don't know much about his previous campaigns. I'm curious if the injury to Rodri, which Rodri's not going to be out for months. It sounds like he's probably going to miss a month or so. But I'm curious because Pep's quote, when I first read it, I took that as I have to play him. He's going to play in that CDM role, but he's going to maybe get up and join the attack every now and then. I don't see
like
him.
A good one.
Right. So when you're saying, he was kind of signed to be that KDB, not necessarily a replacement, but, someone to kind of help to fill that void, does the Rodri injury almost force him out of that position a little bit? I don't know.
It may leave him a bit more deep lying. I mean, he took some set pieces in the friendly. I think he took a few corners as well, which is going to be huge for his value. I mean, if you watch his 2 goals in that game, I mean, it's arriving late, top of the box, and, shot into the corner. It just reminds me, was it 2 seasons ago when Gundogan went on that awesome run and like everybody had him in their squad?
It's essential for like
he was at 5.5 too, right?
It's just the same look and presence in midfield that, and he's still there, obviously. Gundogan's still in the team, but he's that much older, and this is the newer sheer object that, at least to start the season, I think is going to get the run. City have some pretty good fixtures to start the year off as well. And I just think at 5.5, I mean, who else are you looking at in this price bracket, right? I mean, there's Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, who everybody in the community is very high on. But, in my opinion, I would rather root for a player who's going to potentially get me a return and be more attacking than hope for defensive contribution points week in and week out.
Or get someone who's ready for both.
Yeah, there's certainly
plenty.
There's some. Another 5.5 I'm high on is Johan Arias from Wolves, transferred in from Flamengo. He was the player of the Club World Cup. Very attack-minded, 5.5 million player. So those are the 2 in my squad I'm sort of flipping between in that price bracket.
Is he on pens?
We don't know. So he's taken a bunch in his career. We haven't seen one yet at Wolves. Obviously, Strand Larson took penalties as well last year for Wolves. Now Cunha's not there. I would say it's between those 2. Would have loved to see a penalty with the 2 of them on the pitch in this preseason friendly over the weekend. But
if Strand Larson moves to Newcastle, I don't think Wolves want to sell, but I did see that Newcastle, I think, is just like throwing something out there and see if anything will hit. If Strand Larson moves, then I would think Arias is going to be on pens.
I would assume so.
Strand Larson moves.
I don't think they want to move.
Why would you have anybody from Wolves?
That's
also true. You're banking on a set piece goal, a cheap penalty.
I got so burned from Wolves a few seasons ago. They had like that phenomenal, I think 4 out of the first 5 fixtures were like, I don't know if they were dark green at the time, but definitely green. And then I remember I had to wild card after 3 weeks because I was like, what was I thinking? So I avoid Wolves as much as possible at this point.
And pens could be a trap. It's a trap.
It's a tarp.
Pens could be a trap too, because I think it was 2 seasons ago. I was so high on Son. I thought he was underpriced. Spurs had 2 penalties all season.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And Chelsea had 300.
Yeah. Right. That was Palmer's breakout season. He kept getting 2 a week.
Yeah.
Spurs had 2 all season. So you could plan as much as you want, but...
Are they making changes to VAR this year?
The semi-automated offsides, I believe, is in play.
Yeah.
So,
but nothing related to
VAR, we'll have...
in the Premier League or in the Cups?
Well, it was in the Champions League last year, I believe. I think this is the first year for the Premier League. I sure hope so, because I can't keep wasting time watching these VAR reviews for 5 minutes out of the
Is it
game.
La Liga now that the managers get a challenge?
I didn't see that.
I swear I saw that, which I'm like, how are you going to challenge a no call? That would be insane. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Imagine the scratches on Pep's face when they return one of his calls.
Oh,
He could just challenge the challenge. Double jeopardy. One other rumor I did see, Harvey Elliott to Spurs.
I did see that.
At 5.5, could be a budget pick if we're forced to start him.
He does not get me out of bed.
He keeps you in bed.
He keeps me
thinking
in
about
bed.
him.
Poor family bod. He's someone, frankly, like he's
Harvey.
He's blocked right now. He's not going to get
He's not
in
gonna get in.
Liverpool squad. But there's part of me that I'm just like, why are we always getting all of these kind of like
Second
throwaways?
players, yeah.
Like,
Because we don't spend enough.
but we have the money. Like the Gibbs White transfer that fell through, Levy has to go spend that and then some. Because 1, the money's there. And 2, now you actually have to kind of operate out of a position of need.
Maybe you put in a high yield savings. He's going to go back next transfer.
Interest rates right now are brutal. We don't want that. He's much better in an index fund. No. But the point being,
Not a finance fund.
we're not no financial advice here.
Although maybe it's for tonight.
No, cut that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing Harvey Elliott into my squad.
No.
Even if he makes Spurs.
If
But
he makes Spurs, I'll be sad for Spurs.
you'll eat your shorts.
No, I haven't showered in 3 days. I'm not
Oh,
eating my shorts.
It's not a £5.5 million player that would, sway your squad one way or the other.
Yeah. One more question for Reindeers before we move on. Do you think he's worth taking a midfield spot or a City spot for not thinking he's going to start consistently? Or maybe start at the beginning of the season? I guess that's my only concern, is that midfielders, I think, are so valuable this season more than ever.
Yeah, I think depending on the structure of your squad, if you have already like that $5.5 million spot, and like I said, if it's between him, Lee Anderson, Johan Arias, I mean, out of those three, take your pick. One's more exciting and attacking, one's boring and looking for defensive contributions, which again is going to be a huge component of scoring this year. Rangers is kind of in the middle. If he's playing that holding role, he's not going to get a lot of defensive contributions in the City squad. So you're looking more for returns. That one is a pure punt play, hoping he gets off to a great start, ownership rises, price rises a few, and you pick the right time to get out before, that turns and the roulette starts. So
It is fun. Riding the wave.
yeah, I mean, if you think about Rodgers last year, and I mean, everyone was debating on whether to stay on him or get off him. And if you started with the beginning with 5.5 Rodgers, he was a lock in your squad the entire season.
He was not in my squad the entire season.
How was your season?
Well, unlike Zack, I was anti-Salah, pro-Holland to start the season, so we were in opposite directions from the get-go.
Not great. Not great.
No.
All right. So as Zach mentioned, Community Shield,
Fun one.
kind of the unofficial, official restart to the campaign.
This game had a little bit of everything today. A lot of goals, fun penalty shootout. You got to see Crystal Palace's penalty taker in Mateta. You got to see Salah miss a penalty in the penalty shootout. Mateta made another penalty in the shootout while Eze missed his, probably cementing Mateta as the day one penalty taker. Sometimes they rotate there, so that's good to see.
Eze might be on the way out.
Potentially on the way out. I think at this point in the window, Eze stays, and that's speaking from an Arsenal fan who would love to have him. I hope for FPL purposes he stays at Crystal Palace. They're one of my favorite teams to watch and one of my favorite FPL assets to own. You'll see in my squad later on.
I think he's priced 7.5.
Eze 7.5. You got
Yeah.
Ismail Assar 6.5, who got an assist for earning the pen and for scoring a goal later on in the game.
Triple Palace ended up being a very popular pick towards the end of the campaign between Eze, Sar, and either Mateta or Munoz.
Munoz.
Those were at least 2 out of the 3. I think were in a lot of people's squads.
The big debate midway through the year was Eze versus Sar. $1 million price difference for Eze. I think he ended up edging him out in total points during that run. But two different players, both very exciting. Crystal Palace in general, I mean, they're going to score goals. They have a lot of routes to scoring. And with Mateta on penalties at $7.5 million with the strikers, you'll see later on, someone I'm very high on as well.
And shout out to my nephew, Danny.
Absolutely.
He nailed the Justin Devaney pick.
Devaney.
Someone who I don't think anybody knew before our episode last week now looks to be a household name. Winning the Community Shield.
They're gonna
Pals.
etch Devaney's name right under the
Right on the shield.
crest.
Incredible. I'll be honest. I did not get a chance to watch this game today.
Nor did I.
So I don't have a lot of hot takes on it. The thing I'm most interested in is probably the lineups. I think at this point we're going to see as close to first team lineups.
Yeah, both were full strength. I watched the majority of the game. Both teams looked pretty solid. There was a big miscommunication between Kirkes and Van Dijk on the second goal, which is a bit unorthodox, but left a new player coming in. So Liverpool's lineup, you have 4 new players in that starting lineup. So there was definitely some holes in defense. Wirtz looked really attack oriented, was involved, creating a lot of chances. Ekitike up top again. If that Isak transfer doesn't come in, it's a very interesting shout at 8.5. He literally looks like Isak playing in terms of his same height, his stature, the way he runs in the channel. At $8.5 million is an extremely awkward price point in the striker bracket. But there's a lot of routes into Liverpool, and whoever decides to pick the right ones off the bat, you're going to see a big jump.
What is Gakpo at?
Gakpo's at 7.5.
7.5?
7.5.
So I actually want to talk about Gakpo a little bit.
Sure.
I think he's flying under the radar, understandably.
Mhm.
There are big names at Liverpool this season, some that have proven their worth, some that are brand new. We'll have to see if the hype is warranted. Gakpo, for me, last season was really consistent. When he was in there, I think a consistent threat.
10 goals, 5 assists.
I mean, for 7.5, we just said. He was, I believe, was he classified last season as a forward, though?
He
Yes.
was.
So he's
So he gets the midfield.
reclassified.
Yep, he gets a midfield boost. With Gakpo, it's a question of minutes. We don't know exactly how Liverpool is going to line up yet. As of today, without Isak, his minutes look a lot better, but they could also play Ekitike off the left. Wirtz could play a false 9. We've seen that in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
I think in some of the friendlies, he's played a bit further forward, too. Spazolai, however you want to pronounce that.
Try it again.
That's a new one.
How do you pronounce it?
Dami Shabi.
Domicile.
Dami can play on the left.
Zabalai.
So Liverpool's attack, there's a lot of rotation that can happen as well. Not as much now with Diaz and Nunez going out.
Really, or it could be a top 3, and they could play Gravenberg in there as well.
Exactly.
What's your take on Kirkes and Frimpong? I've heard that they may actually not be nailed to start. I mean, Robo's still in the squad. Bradley's I've heard he's actually the preferred first choice. I haven't seen the minutes for it yet, but you got to think eventually Frimpong and Kirkes solidify their role as first team, first selections. But I don't know. What have you heard?
I think at some point you'll see him cement it. I think with the latest injury to Bradley, Frimpong probably starts the season. He's the more exciting of the two fullbacks, in my opinion. I think Slot said the other day when AFCON comes around, he could actually play right wing in place of Salah. So that's how attack-minded he is. You may see that in some games. You know, like if they need a goal, you could see Bradley come on, Frimpong push up, Salah kind of play a second striker. So there's a lot they could do with him. He is very attack-minded. He scored a goal today. I think it was meant to be a cross, but still, it went in. I like to avoid new signings as much as possible off the start in FPL. New to the league. Again, there's rotation concerns. Liverpool gave up 2 goals today to Crystal Palace. So you're looking at him more for, an attacking threat, which will be there.
Liverpool defense is interesting. Frimpong and Kirkes, I think, are both at 6. So is Van Dijk.
And Robertson.
Is he 6 too?
Yeah.
Yep. Kanate is the only one that's not.
Out of all of those choices, I honestly think the safest pick is Van Dijk.
Van Dijk is, in my opinion, the safest pick.
Aerial threat on corners. Was he just kind of... I feel like he lost a step last season.
I did say that in the first episode.
But his numbers
and then
were fine.
We looked at the numbers and then we backed off. But it sounds like he missed a step today and led to a goal. I don't know. For that price to be questioning the starters, that's a lot to have tied up.
The difference with Van Dijk is, so last year he was the 4th highest scoring defender in FPL, including his defensive contributions from last year. He jumps up to like 2nd or 3rd, playing in a good defense. You get clean sheets, you can get some scores. You could score, like Jim said, he gets a header, 2 defensive contributions, and a clean sheet. With the change to the bonus point system this year, he's probably going to see a boost. Defenders are going to. So out of any Liverpool defender, if I was going to spend up on a 6 million defender, it would be Van Dijk to start. Yeah. He's nailed for 90 every week. There's no rotation risk there, and you're looking at it more from a clean sheet defensive contribution perspective.
How did Munoz look? How did he look today?
Munoz is arguably my favorite FPL asset.
5.5 mil?
5.5 mil. He is a defender that literally spends his entire time playing right wing. He is the most attacking defender in the league. Again, according to FODMOB, 7.8 rating today against Liverpool.
He sticks around at Palace for much longer?
He'll be there this year. He'll definitely be there this year. He's perfect in the system that Glasner wants to play. You're owning him for attacking returns. He's not going to get the defensive contributions. He's probably not going to get a lot of clean sheets, but he will be involved in a lot of attack-minded. He was another player last year in my run that was a key cog and one that I'm backing again this year to start.
So Kirkes came off injured. Do we know how serious that was?
Nothing that I've seen.
Hurt feelings. That was it. He had an argument with Van Dijk. That was it.
These rookies.
What about Mark Guehi? Guehi
went off injured as well late in the game.
He's 4.5 mil. I've seen him in a lot of drafts.
4.5 mil. There's a lot of rumors of potentially Chelsea looking at him after the Levy Colwill injury, which the move just makes a lot of sense. I think that would honestly help his value going there. That'd be a 4.5 defender that you'd probably see in a lot of drafts this week if that move goes through.
What is Fofana priced at Chelsea? He 4.5?
Yep, he's 4.5.
Healthy, presumably.
Yep, and you also have at Chelsea now Cenk Tosun at 5 million. 4.5 million as well, who started their friendly today in place of Colwill. So
Cenk Tosun.
How's that name? God bless you.
Yeah, Chelsea with a nice 4-1 victory against Milan.
Jeff Pedro with another return.
Delap 2 goals, one of them a penalty. Of course, that penalty came after Cole Palmer and Joao Pedro left the pitch, so we don't get to see who the primary is, even though it'll most likely be Cole.
Wasn't there a striker, Cenk Tosun, at Everton? Like a Turkish guy?
Maybe it's not Cenk Tosun. The last name's Tosun, though.
It is Tosun. Tosun Adebayo. Got that one. Got that first time. Tosun Adebayo on Chelsea. Adebayo. And no. Adario.
Barrio, Tom.
Barrio.
There was a Cenk Tosun.
Tosun. Yes.
Is he still in the league?
No, Chang was their spot. Had the elephant.
Where's he now?
He is at Fenerbahce.
Oh, okay.
Is that how you say that? Yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows.
By way of Besiktas.
Okay.
So, yes. Cenk Tosun, not the Chelsea starting back.
But yeah, so basically key takeaways from the Community Shield today. A solid blank. Does that put anybody off to him? Missed his penalty. You're seeing other players get involved in the goals, see some good Crystal Palace information that we are looking for in terms of Mateta as a penalty taker, Sarr getting involved with a couple returns. So those would be the main key takeaways. I mean, look, I don't think friendlies should be swaying your, initial drafts too much. We'll see more when the actual season starts.
Right. But it might be pointing like Nketiah is definitely off the table as a starter? Or it's going to be nailed?
Sarr's going to be nailed. I think Matetta's nailed, and I think his minutes, that was his big risk last year. Usually got like 70 minutes a game. But Nketiah's actually hurt right now. So the first couple weeks, Matetta's probably going to have a good run. And as we saw today, if he's a primary penalty taker in that lineup, definitely gives a nice little boost to 7.5. Not the greatest fixtures for Palace to start. Chelsea away, Forest home, Villa away. I mean, but they also put 2 past Liverpool today and, on a big stage. And there's a lot of creativity in that attack.
Villa looked okay today, seemingly.
Another Watkins goal, another solid performance. No Rodgers in the lineup again. I mean, that's a big one this week to get some more information in terms of what that injury looks like.
The options that are out there right now, I feel like we're starting to get more clarity, which is good because we're getting really close to the deadline now. As the deadline approaches, there's still just enough questions out there. I don't know if I'm going to feel good, even after the deadline.
No, but that's why you set yourself up for having players that you could easily move out and get the backups in. You don't know how it's going to go, but you could plan ahead and have the funds available. Do you still have $1 million in the bank?
I do not.
Okay. I was assuming that was not going to last.
I do not.
Quick rundown on some of the other games from Saturday. So Fulkrug at West Ham scored.
Again?
I know I was anti-West Ham and really anti-Bowen given his price, and I didn't like the move to forward. But Fulkrug coming in at 6 with another goal. There's really nobody else in that 6 million price bracket, so worthy of a consideration there. Your man Gherkin scored his first goal in a Gunner shirt.
Arsenal looked better than what they did earlier in the preseason. It was nice to see them put 3 goals past. I mean, I think the bigger takeaway for me in that game was the style of goals that Arsenal scored was something we were drastically looking for last year. One-time cross in from Zubamendi, one new boy to another, and Gyökeres, and even though people say he can't head the ball, had a nice little flick-on header to the back post. Gives a lot to think about in that $9 million. I mean, at first, even as an Arsenal fan, I was avoiding him, just given the fact I thought Havertz would start week 1. Given his sort of knock, that's a lot of minutes for Gyökeres in the last 2 preseason friendlies, and now that he got off the mark, I think Arteta's going to have a real hard time not starting him at Old Trafford this week.
So, as an FPL fan, do you agree that him being a $500,000 more than Ekitike?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at their scoring records from last year, if you bring somebody in that led the world last year and, goal scored and don't price him higher than him, $9 million I think was a perfect. I think FPL has gotten the strikers priced absolutely perfect. And I think Sesko will come in. I think they'll probably put him at 7.5 in that bracket.
You said 7.5.
And again, that's probably right as well. I almost wish Ekitike was a bit cheaper, just given his youth and hasn't really proven too much. Would have been a fun route to get in him, but the 8.5 also makes it, Liverpool assets. Do you want new boy Wirtz or do you want new boy Ekitike? And that same price bracket would be interesting.
I swore
That's true.
I would never talk about Declan Rice again.
I had a nice post on Douglas Rice.
What do you think about Deck?
Declan Rice, from a pure eye test perspective, the second half of last year got a lot more forward for Arsenal. They also switched and put him on set pieces, which shout out AFC Beach would love, because watching Saka and Martinelli and Odegaard take penalties last year or corners was absolutely horrendous.
We mentioned Rice had those worldies.
Yeah, Declan Rice's free kicks are incredible to
beautiful.
watch. He's now the primary set piece taker, primary corner taker, and if you look at his defensive contribution numbers from last year,
He stands.
were very solid, and it puts him into, I think, on my post, he had the same, if not more, points than Eze, priced $1 million cheaper. Right now there's not a ton of Arsenal, assets that people are really looking at. You're not going to want to clog a spot with Declan Rice if Gabriel's gets off to the start he had last year, if Saka's doing what Saka does, if Gyökeres gets off to a good start. So I had Rice in a lot of earlier drafts, and he's come out for the sole reason of I want to leave those funds and those spots available to other Arsenal assets.
And I think the defensive contribution is meant to boost those players, but not having enough forwards in the game that are reasonably priced is forcing you to basically look past any defensive mid. Because maybe 5.5 you could scrounge the money, or midweek or mid-season you could bring it in for a short. But to start the season, you're not really planning on starting a 6.5 defensive mid. I don't know.
What's your
The
thoughts
problem
on
is the forwards, I think.
DEFCON in general?
I think DEFCON is something that people are overrating, some people are underrating. I think it needs to be rated, right? Because, if you look at some of these numbers, what people get, you look at Tarkowski from last year and what his numbers look at, Murillo from Nottingham Forest. But at the same time, what I think people need to look at is a lot of these numbers and these high DEFCON numbers are coming in fixtures where Everton aren't favored or where Nottingham Forest aren't favored. So you have to now, as a manager, where previous years we'd say we're benching because it's not going to be a clean sheet, Now you need to look at it as, okay, maybe there's not a clean sheet on, but a 4-point floor
We talked about
is
that.
solid.
Tarkowski's getting the opportunities because teams are attacking.
He had 10 DEFCON
I saw that in like
60 minutes the other day. I mean, that is insane. I mean, if you can get a $5.5 million defender, $5.5 million defender, and keep him with a floor of 4 points every week. But at the same time, if you then look at it compared to, a similar, let's say Pedro Porro, for example, was a more attacking $5.5 million. One return for him over a 4-week span or 3-week span.
He's actually had, I think, out of their...
His DEFCON's pretty good, too.
I think he's had both.
Right, so if he gets one return, that equals 3 weeks of DEFCON. So it's almost like a pick your path, right? Do you want the more upside, maybe more swingy, or do you want that lower floor of chugging along? And it'll be interesting to see halfway through this year, which squad is doing better in the rankings. Somebody that's all DEFCON everybody and they just kind of chug along, or people who are, hitting the bigger $4.5 million defenders that are getting attacking returns.
Do you think it sticks around, or do you think it's another
I think it sticks around. I think it's good for the game. I think it rewards more players that otherwise wouldn't be looked at. Center backs all of a sudden, not a lot of people had Van Dijk in prior years. Now all of a sudden you look at some of his numbers and it's now he's worth a shot.
Yeah.
So I think it gives managers a different path of how they want to play the game, and I'm fine with that.
I agree in theory. It's just trying to get those players in. The squad's just it doesn't seem big enough at times for you to actually execute on it.
No, and FPL did a great job pricing them to make you think about it.
Yeah.
If they left Tarkowski at 4.5 and they left Murillo at 5 or 4.5, everybody would have them.
Yeah.
So they priced them in a good spot where it's if that's how you want to play the game, they're there, go for it.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't really want to be watching soccer on a Saturday and Sunday counting tackles.
Yeah.
And
You don't?
appearances. So
The stats page?
yeah, as you'll see in my draft later, I took a different approach and didn't really put too many
Nice.
DEFCON features in there.
Nice. I can't wait.
I think that's the majority of the friendly discussion. One is interesting one. De Kuiper, fullback for Brighton, scoring in their game. He's their new signing this year. He's basically the Estupinan replacement. 24-year-old left back, very
183
attack-minded.
centimeters tall. Do that
conversion.
math real quick.
But that's good to see. He's one that's been in my drafts as well, so that only solidifies it. Attacking fullback in that Brighton system, he's going to get opportunities, as we saw from Estupinan before. So happy to have him, and nice to see him get off the score sheet early on in the friendlies.
Yeah, him and Matoma on the left, I think, could be really interesting.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I'm not exactly following Brighton this season. But, like you said, Brighton always seem to they have next man up. They always seem to find these diamonds in the rough. They bring them in, and they just return.
Yeah.
They perform.
He was in my squad since the beginning.
I think
Their big signing, how could you not trust them based on the track record?
yeah, I mean, everybody had Estupinan at one point last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is always attacking me. If that's the role he's going to play and they're not changing their system, it's we've all I've owned Batoma at some point every year. Brighton are fun to watch. Their assets are always priced really well, and they are again this year too. I mean, Welbeck at 6.5 for a penalty-taking striker at Brighton. It's a decent shout.
Yeah.
So, yeah, De Kuiper, nice to see him get off. I bet his ownership rose a little bit this weekend as well.
It was nice to see him get off.
Kyle Walker does start at Burnley over the weekend.
Did he?
Yeah. 4.5.
You got to think he starts, right?
I don't know. One to watch, but at least a trusted name at a team that we're expecting is going to be on the ropes a lot.
How many minutes? Just 45?
I think the bigger story at Burnley is 4 million Esteve
Oof.
getting another good run out. Looks like he's going to be the starting center back there at Burnley.
I'm more curious to see how many lineups right now don't have some combination of Esteve, Dubravka, and Guyu. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I've heard that one a lot. I've heard Gooey.
Ooh.
Yeah, that seems like it'll
I
fit this
kinda
pod
like
pretty
that.
well.
Isn't that a
Yeah.
Pokemon?
I think you think Goomba.
That's Mario.
Oh, yeah. I like Guyu.
I think of Geoduck.
So Kyle Walker, 69 minutes.
Nice.
I didn't do that on purpose. That just happened. I don't know. He's probably a pass for me.
Probably a pass. But
If he's going to get the minutes, I guess he's fine to have on your bench.
Yeah,
But
there's other 4.5s that I think provide more upside. I don't think he's going to get too far forward in the Burnley attack, and I don't trust the Burnley defense at all to willingly play on a weekly
when do you
basis.
think they get relegated? At what point in the season? You think they make it to Christmas?
I know I'm looking at this squad right now, and
I don't know. I hope it's early because I can't stand JJ Watt tweeting about them on the weekends.
I think it'll be pretty early. I
What
think
an ugly group of guys.
Burnley's a good shout to be relegated.
I don't know if they break 20 points. I mean, defense was their calling card last season.
In the championship?
But
But
everybody's going to have a Steve. So
they left.
that-
Yeah. Efford left, too.
Yeah, new keeper, new players, new league. Thanks. Yeah.
I think we've hit our
Burnley quota.
Burnley quota.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk about them end of September.
any other friendlies?
United.
United did.
We got to give a shout out to the commissioner. Their lineup was exactly as he predicted, with Mason Mount starting up top. So I don't know, that it looks pretty good on paper. Whether or not Maguire keeps the starting spot, I did move him out. He was in my squad. I was hoping he would
I don't think
stay
he's
in
gonna
there, but I don't
start.
think he's gonna.
Yeah, I think there's still a big gaping hole going through the middle of this team in terms of Casemiro starting, Maguire as your center back. But there's potential, the commish talked about if Baleba comes in, Baleba out of Brighton, would fill that hole a little bit.
How much is Ahmad?
Ahmad is 6.5, I believe.
Yes, he is.
I actually saw he was linked to Spurs.
I don't think United's letting him go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing with United is 2 assets on their team are completely underowned, or 2 of the players that were probably the highest ownership last year, in Cunha and Mbeumo. And it's just the fact, new team, new system, United coming off a disappointing year.
Pens.
But both are priced, well in the $8 million range, both attacking. If they're both playing those 10 positions behind, I think the issue with them is they both were the primary penalty taker on their team last year. And with Bruno there, that's not going to happen.
I'm also just banking on United to continue to be the dumpster fire that they are, and them to kind of fall victim.
They should score a lot of goals. I mean, Bruno, Cunha, and Mbeumo, Sesko, 2 attacking fullbacks. They should put goals. I just think they're going to give up 3 games.
As forward as he has. I don't think so in Amram's system.
No, but he still contributes from back there. I mean, set pieces, penalties.
He is a son of a bitch. The ugliest man in FPL.
I don't know about that.
Oh, come on.
It's kind of rude.
He's not like the most.
Wait till we get the video started on the
Oh,
podcast.
well, I'm not in the Prem. I'm allowed to be the ugliest man in this room. That's fine. He's hard. You know what it is? He reminds me of someone we know who is also hideous.
What do we think about Dorgu at 4.5?
Dorgo's in my squad.
Yeah.
I didn't
realize he was that.
He's been in every draft from the start. Fixtures aren't great for United off the rip. I think week 3, though, Burnley at home is a nice one. And if you rotate it well with some other 4.5s, there's some, fun rotations to keep him in. And his attacking run is, watch him play. He's similar to Munoz, where he's just basically playing left wing. I mean, he's getting very far forward. He's going to get involved in some goals.
I just brought him in as we speak.
He tinkered.
Live tinker.
Live
you just
tinker.
Saw it. You just heard it.
Lord. Any other? I mean, we have the Super Cup this week.
Yeah, most of the friendlies should be
that's
done at
it.
this
This
point.
is pretty much it.
We'll look for press conferences later in the week.
I can't wait for the press conference.
Last minute transfers, injury news to keep an eye on. I'm sure the pod will be tweeting those out or on their Instagram account if anything changes.
So before we take a look at our drafts, I know, Zach, you've been kind of teasing your strategy, your unconventional but risky strategy. We got to talk about our sponsor for this episode.
That's right. This episode is brought to you by the puffy shirt. Yes, the one that made Jerry look like he was about to swashbuckle his way across the high seas. Designed for those that want to make a bold statement without saying a word. Because honestly, you can't speak when you're wearing this thing. The shirt does all the talking. Whether you're heading to a pirate-themed gala, an Elizabethan brunch, or you just want to look like you wandered out of a Renaissance painting, the puffy shirt has you covered. In ruffles. It's flamboyant, it's voluminous. It's perfect for people who aren't afraid to answer the question, why are you dressed like that? Get yours today at puffyshirt.com. Use code LOWTALKER for 15% off. That's puffyshirt.com, promo code LOWTALKER, LOWTALKER. Because you're going to look like a pirate, and you're going to like it.
Can you imagine if Pep came out
Wearing a puffy shirt?
wearing a puffy shirt?
He would look great. And I think any of our listeners
I would
look
immediately,
great.
at that point, I would bring in as many City players as I could.
All the City assets.
I'd be begging for the assistant manager chip back.
All right, so we've been teasing the listeners enough. Zach, why don't we get into your latest draft? You mentioned it's risky. You mentioned it's a little bit non-conventional. Let's see it.
Yeah, so like I said last year, I was anti-Holland from the start, which is a bit unconventional. Paid dividends and worked out well. This year, I would say is a bit riskier. I'm going to commit for the full season to no Salah, no Holland. The two highs. Yeah,
The whole season.
I want to commit to the whole season. I want to play FPL a little bit differently this year. I think it'll be really fun. The biggest risk, obviously.
Have you been
besides
drinking?
No, I'm completely sober. I've been on this for the last few weeks. I've been tinkering with this draft, and every time I look at this draft without those 2 players, there is so much depth, so much variety in routes into players and price points that you could very easily move between that others simply won't be able to afford in their draft. So, of course, it's risky. The biggest risk is obviously going to be captaincy every week, and seeing a 58% owned player captained week 1 when Salah scores 2 against Bournemouth on Friday is going to look awful. But I'm in it for the long haul, barring any crazy unforeseen circumstances. I played around today with a Holland-only draft, and I just didn't like it as much. So I think I'm going to commit to the no Salah, no Holland, which looks something like this. So goalkeepers are Sells of Nottingham Forest and Dubravka. 9 million on my goalkeeper rotation. It'll probably stay with the 5 and the 4. I think Dubravka's too hard to pass up at 4. There's not too many 4.5s I like to keep a $9 million rotation there. That Forest defense, anything in preseason, they haven't given up goals at all. They just also don't score them. But Sells is going to be a lock. In defense, this is the change that I made today. At first, this draft was big at the back. A lot of the DEFCON type higher players. Switch that up to a lower price defense. I have De Kuiper from Brighton, 4.5. I have Joof from West Ham at 4.5. He's another very attack-minded fullback. I have my boy Munoz from Crystal Palace, as I spoke about. And the other two 4.5 defending slots are Dorgu of Man U and Konsa from Aston Villa. Yeah, Esri is that stable, locked to 90-minute pick every week. Doesn't get a lot of DC points, but he's going to be there. Villa's defense in the back half of last year was actually really solid, and one that can rotate pretty well with some of the other 4.5s and look to get a clean sheet there. So the defense is all set, a little bit lower price. The midfield and attack is where it gets a little bit more fun. So in midfield, I have Cole Palmer, I have Florian Wirtz, I have Bukayo Saka, I have Bruno Fernandes, and I have Omar Marmoush. A lot of money spent in the midfield. It's like 5.
Nice.
And up top in attack, I have Ollie Watkins. He has been in every draft from the start. He's going to be there. Way too good of a start to the season for Aston Villa, and it's just absolutely talismanic. And the 7.5 slot currently is Jean-Philippe Mateta. And then the last forward spot is 4.5 million, Mark Guiu. That could play around. I may want to look to get a little bit more depth in the forward line. That would involve just dropping a midfielder down. But Mateta, I think after today, is going to be locked at 7.5. He has single-handedly won me 2 cups in our mini league.
He has.
Every time I brought him in at the right time, he has gone off. And seeing him on 2 penalties today, and great preseason, and Crystal Palace is just a lineup I really like to back. So yeah, very unconventional. Midfield is where a lot of the points are going to come from, and you can get into some players that others can't. You know, Bruno Fernandes is one that
I love it.
a lot of people have, but are going to have to sacrifice and go. And you know, I'd rather play it this way.
So you're going to go 3-5-2.
3-5-2, rotating 4.5s, depending on the game week. And the riskiest pick right now, I think, in this lineup to me is probably Omar Marmoush.
What a differential, though.
Yeah, I mean, and he's one that
What is he owned by at the moment?
he's gone up to about 13.
13.
He was a little bit lower before. I want to route into City. I think they get off to a really good start. Their fixtures are good, and I think they're going to be on a bit of a revenge tour. And people are saying his minutes, you know, with Pep aren't that great, but he started 14 of 16 games last year since he came in. He was literally the most minutes played besides Vardiol for City last season since he joined. He's a great attacking player. He dropped down to midfield this year from forward, so he's going to get the bonus from, you know, added points for goals. And I'm not going to afford Holland in this situation, obviously, so I think Marmoush is a way to kind of be a little bit differential and get into that City attack.
So there's a tool that's out there,
Mhm.
and I know you're familiar with it. Our listeners might not, but essentially what you can do is actually take a picture of your draft. You can upload it to the site, and they will use AI. Everyone uses AI to
It's
rate
everywhere.
your squad. Did you do that?
Yep, this one is currently sitting at a 94% team rating.
For the listeners out there, it just proves that you don't necessarily need to have Salah or Holland. You can still be 94% rating out of 100.
And AI is always right. So you're guaranteed an A. An A's a
Spot on.
93, I think. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this isn't for the faint of heart, right?
Yeah.
Come Friday when that lineup comes out and I'm watching Salah bombard down the right-hand side and, you know, see that pop-up notification and he's not captain in my squad. And yeah, that's going to be brutal. But I'm hoping that people are sleeping on Saka because 10 million and not a great run of fixtures for Arsenal to start. He's not in a lot of squads. We've all seen Saka's had great seasons. He could help those points. I think Wirtz is going to be involved in a lot of Liverpool attacks, hoping to sort of cover a little bit there. And I'm also thinking at this point, I can drop one of these 8.5 million forwards. I can go down to Rodgers and gain 1.5 million there. And I can increase, you know, Guiu up to a deeper forward. I can go Mateta up to Gyökeres if I'm that high on, you know, him and get into the Arsenal squad that way. So it gives me some flexibility, you know. Basically, I can get any player I want in this draft with 1 or 2 transfers other than Salah. And worst case, if I decide to go against it, I could do an early wild card. You know, we get 2 of every chip this year. I could free hit, then wild card. You know, this also sets up for a nice early bench boost, which I'm high on this year to get the chip out of the way and not have to think about it. I think it's the most overrated chip in FPL.
So wait,
yeah.
sorry, you're using bench boost week 1?
Not using bench boost week 1. It doesn't
That's
line up
silly.
great for week 1, but
The argument is
We get it. You've seen people
understandable.
say,
I think there's a great shout, but I don't want to set my whole team up for the season based on a bench boost game 1 and then be forced into early transfers. You know, it's a chip that like people put so much time into and like you're hoping you get like 12 points out of.
Yeah.
And like you just pick a good week where the matchups look good and just play it. You know, this if Guiu ends up being a starter at some point for Sunderland in the first, 5 game weeks, this could be a bench boost any week I want. Or with a transfer or 2. Plus, with AFCON this year and the 5 free transfers, I think it's a decent time to use. You could set your team up for a bench boost then. Right, you get 5 free transfers, game week 13 or game week 16?
I forget the exact game week. Yes.
Use them, set up for a bench boost, use it right after, depending on the fixture run there. Yeah.
It's super interesting.
I'm impressed.
When you see it, it's hard to, not love it. And then you just, when you see the big boy score on week 1, and it's going to be...
Yeah.
So you have to hold back. It's a season-long process.
So, what was it, 2 years ago, I was avoiding Holland for the same reason. And it became addicting rooting against him. It was really fun. Even when he would only score 1. It's like, people are only getting 4 points. And you're like, well, to beat that as a captain, I only need an assist from somebody else. So I agree it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think you're right. The captaincy pick every week is going to be the stressful thing.
But Palmer off the rip?
Yeah, you look at week 1, I'll go Palmer against Crystal Palace week 1. Week 2 is probably going to be...
Bruno Fernandes?
It could be Villa against Brentford and Captain Watkins if I want. No, week 2 is going to be Saka against Leeds. Saka against Leeds week 2. Chelsea week 3 have Fulham. Fine captaining Palmer. Everyone's so high on Cole Palmer this year, but no one's going to really be captaining him when they're owning Salah or Haaland. So if he performs as people expect him to be, then you're going to gain a lot there as well.
And that is something that I like to do, is have the asset that everybody has, but don't captain them.
Right.
Go for the differential. So if you miss, you're still hedging yourself, so you're not falling behind. And if you do hit on your captaincy pick, you could jump ahead.
The biggest one here that I couldn't go without, which is what made me go this strategy, is Bruno Fernandes. Like, I had such a hard time fitting him in at 9 million, where I liked a squad around him, and just the way he's going to be on pens. He's at every set piece. He gets involved in the attack, gets defensive contributions a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just an asset that every week is going to give you a decent score. And if you can look past the first fixture against Arsenal, which he very well could get, 12 defensive contribution points there, it's just something that I had to fit in. So
Tough fixture run, though, admittedly.
For United?
Yeah. Arsenal, City, Chelsea in their first 3 out of their first 5.
Yeah, and you have...
They do have Burnley and Fulham in there.
Sandwiched in between.
I had Bruno in my first draft because I agree with you. I think the value's there. But Arsenal, City, Chelsea kind of scared me off a little bit. I might bring them back in.
A little bit. I mean, United always plays City tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, all it takes is a penalty.
Right. And it's those games, they're not going to go off for 15 points, but they're not going to get stomped.
Mm-hmm.
They could easily have a goal contribution. So, transparency, I had the same exact midfield.
Nice.
I had Marmoush
You guys
Saka.
planned that.
I had Marmoush, Saka, Wirtz, and Bruno last week when we recorded. And then after talking and realizing that I was agreeing that Palmer was underpriced at 10.5, I had to get him in.
So you're no Salah. You're Haaland, no Salah?
I'm Holland.
I like that.
And
What a turn of events.
But to get Palmer in, my back line is very thin. And I'm not thrilled. So up top, I have Holland, Guiu, and I had to bring in Fulkrug, Nicholas. So apologize for mispronouncing your name so many times. I could only afford to push for a 6.5 because I needed another forward that would start, given how thin my defense was.
I thought he was 6.
Did I say 6.5?
Yeah.
He's 6.
Okay.
He's 6.
I think he could be. I mean, if his preseason form
If he gets his
continues, he's a great
minutes,
shot.
yeah.
So I'm going to be real with you.
Midfield-wise,
I'm just so high in midfield this year.
there's just so many players that are priced similarly that
Yeah.
you want. And every year we say, "Oh, Salah looks like he's playing further out wide," and then he ends up.
Yeah.
But it's like, is he really going to get famous last word? Is he really going to replicate what he did last year? I mean, those numbers are absolutely incredible. His attacking talent around him is better, which could obviously help him. But he's another year older. It's just, to me, it's worth the risk of getting some of these other players and having pure flexibility. The biggest downfall in my draft is not having a $6 million defender if I end up wanting to get into one. I mean, I can gain $500,000 here or there. I could drop forwards to Gakpo and move, Munoz up or something like that. There's ways I could do it before the deadline. Or like I said, if I drop Marmoush or Wirtz down to Rodgers, gain $1.5 million there, I could bring one of the 4.5s up to a 6. I'd love to get Gabriel in from Arsenal. I want some more press conference news to see if he's actually going to start or not. And either way, probably would wait and not play him in the United fixture anyways.
Yeah, it's tough. And I feel like last year we really didn't see a ton of clean sheets. It felt like goals were more abundant last season.
Yep.
So to that point, I mean, why are you spending the premium on defenders that are not? I mean, Gabriel's still get in there. He's going to get his headers in the box, but he's not Poro. He's not Guardiola getting up there. He's not Munoz. So, but he was one of those players. Like I think easily he was top 5 scorer last season. Like Arsenal defense was solid. You couldn't really go wrong. They're also somewhat fixture proof to a certain extent.
He was, because he was banging in so many set piece goals.
Yeah.
But again, I just feel like clean sheets around the league are down. Like, I don't have the exact numbers, but it just feels that way. Where even like City leaks a goal here and there, and Liverpool, I mean, gave 2 to Crystal Palace today. Where to me, it's like these cheaper assets, I'm going to take flyers on the more attacking ones rather than banking on clean sheets.
I love it. The cajones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, come Friday at 5 o'clock after the Liverpool game, I'll either feel really good about it when Wirtz has a goal and assist and solid blanks, or I'll feel absolutely terrible about it.
Yeah.
Again, let the weekend play out and see what Bruno, Saka, Marmoush do, and we'll go from there.
I think the other thing too, just like it kind of adds an additional fun element to it. Like you mentioned, like if you've got Salah in your squad, if you've got Haaland, even Palmer to a certain extent, like you're probably just going to pick out of those 2 or 3 that you might have in your squad who has the better fixture, and they're going to be your captain. You're going to get to be very creative. You're going to have to be in tune with player form, the press conferences. Like it really forces you to be just fully kind of inundated with the information. Bigger risk, but that pride you're going to feel when it hits.
Yeah, if it pays off, it'll be great. I mean, Jim, I know you love a good differential captain. In our league, you're always the captain of different people. And a lot of times, I mean, the years you've won, it's worked great. So it's going to be like every week figuring out like who's the second best captain that I'm comfortable going with, or just looking at numbers and eye test and taking it from there.
But the problem is when last year's a perfect example that Salah never blanked.
Yeah,
Never.
He scored 29 goals, was it?
18 assists.
Yeah, it's like you can't make up using a differential when you're missing out on that every time. What are the chances he makes 2 record-breaking seasons in a row?
Yeah, that's
Quote that,
ranking,
right.
Like
Timestamp that.
Yeah.
Well, he's on my squad.
Top 10.
I think it's the same thing. I think they're going to be just as good, but I think the goals are going to be more spread out.
They also have Wirtz is like an all-out number 10 that they really haven't had. I mean, if you watch their games in preseason and the way he plays, I mean, he's involved in every attack. He's right behind the striker. Salah's been very far out wide. We've said this years before, and then come season, it doesn't really matter. But again, at some point, those numbers are going to come back down to earth a little bit, and maybe this season take advantage of it.
There's one name that you haven't mentioned this entire time that I'm sure you saw the clip of his almost goal. Your old friend, Granit Xhaka, 5.5. He's gotten a lot of attention from DEF CON.
From one person on the podcast.
No. I think he's a popular pick right now. Coming into, coming back from Bayern.
Or you have the...
Let's go take a look.
$5 million.
5 mil. It's not him. Only 2.5%.
You'd say that's popular pick?
I think at a 5 mil, he's going to be nailed. If he's going to be on set pieces, if he's going to be on free kicks. He almost curled a beauty in today.
Yeah, I think the problem with Zack, if you look at his stats, right? So his last season in the Prem, 22-23, 153 points, which is fantastic for a $5 million defender. But then you look down the line, and it's because of 13 clean sheets. 7 goals and 8 assists. I mean, from a $5 million player that you're going to store on your bench for the most part, fine, plus some DEF CON. I don't think he's going to score that in the Sunderland lineup, and I don't think he's going to get 13 clean sheets.
Yeah.
But again, you don't want to be starting a $5 million
I don't think this season.
Week in and week out. I mean, a lot of people are starting 5.5. There's some decent ones to start, but I mean, if you look at my lineup, I have the funds available where I shouldn't need to have a $5 million defender or midfielder. And if I do, then it's increasing my third forward up, which there's other, I'm high on Joao Pedro at Chelsea. I don't know if I want the Palmer Pedro double up because I'm not sure exactly how that share is going to go. And I don't really want to get Gyökeres from the start. Obviously, that could change this week as an Arsenal fan, but there's still that risk he doesn't start week 1. If I don't have Salah, I don't have Haaland, and he doesn't start week 1, that could be a scary start. So going a little bit safer there. And I still have routes into him, like I said before. So the midfield stacked.
Yeah, I feel like
I love it.
Now more than ever, it's also just as easy if you're patient enough to get out. There's more transfers, I think, than ever before.
Yeah, you can, if you set your team up deep enough, you don't want to have these transfer week 1, right? So you at least bank 1 going into week 3, and you can figure out what to do if you need to move a couple people around.
Have you considered chip strategy up to this point?
Slightly. It gets a little bit different with this squad because it is deeper. So like I could bench boost basically at any time if I wanted to. Free hit, again, I'll look at a week where the fixtures don't look great. Wild card, I like the run. Is it 13 on, 11 on? There's a pretty good run of assets. So
Liverpool have a nice little run.
yeah, Liverpool from 13. I think City as well. Yeah, Liverpool and City from 13 on is wild. West Ham leads Sunderland. Fulham
wow.
leads Sunderland. I mean, that's a killer run. You have a Arsenal home against Brentford in there and a Wolves at home.
Liverpool
as well.
plays Leeds twice in 4 game weeks apart. Am I seeing that right? 5 game weeks. No. 15 and 19, 4. Am I seeing that right? No, buggy, Liverpool.
Yeah, 15 and 19. 15 and 19 for Liverpool. Back half of.
That can't be right.
You think the FDR is wrong?
Well, they don't have them in the second half, so yeah, they play them close together, which is
It's
interesting.
like a snake draft. They get them right back to back.
It's weird.
So yeah, maybe around then, and load up on some Liverpool assets. We'd have a better idea at that point. Obviously, if Isak goes, that's going to be one I'm going to want to try to fit in here, but not before week 1.
We're back to Isak.
I mean, at 10.5 and his record, I mean, he's the one that, like, if you have a solid or Holland draft, you're going to end up getting rid of them to get him if he goes to a squad.
Well, he's 10.5 mil, right? For me, I'd rather spend that money on Palmer or Saka.
Right.
I would rather have, like, if Isak goes to Liverpool, I'd rather have him at 10.5 than Salah at 14.5.
If
I think
Isak goes to
would benefit
Liverpool, you'd rather him
in.
than who?
Than Salah at 14.5.
Over Salah, sure, but you think over Palmer too?
Well, in this draft, I'd have them both. In my strategy, I'd be able
sure.
to have them both, which is what I like.
That's fair.
If Watkins gets off to a great start and so does Gyökeres, so people start scrambling. If Gyökeres gets off to a start like what he did in Portugal and starts banging in goals left and right, which as a fan I hope he does, and Watkins is off to a good start, people are just start blowing up their teams.
I thought I've heard some.
But you have the cover for that from Saka, who is not highly owned.
I would love to double up if they start to link up. It's too early and too risky for me to take that on to start.
So I got 2 questions for you. One, what do you make of Arteta's, and apparently I misquoted, but Arteta saying that they're going to figure out pens on the pitch? Who is their first choice taker right now?
Saka's their primary taker, I think, until otherwise. We've just seen they've done some things where, like, Odegaard in certain games will take one, but Saka's the primary penalty taker. He has been, I feel like, the last couple of years. But Gyökeres is on it, and I don't know, maybe it's being scarred from watching Saka miss the England penalty, even though his record since then is extremely good. But, I mean, yeah, there could be a little bit of a penalty share there, but other teams have that too. I mean, I think Saka gives you so many routes to points that aren't penalty, focused that he's still a worthwhile asset.
If he's healthy, he's going to return.
Looked really good the other day. He looked fully healthy.
Came off, not the last game, but the one before it, he had an ankle scare.
Yeah, and then he ended up playing like 70, 80 minutes the other day.
So I think you can pretty confidently put that one in the past. The other thing, and I feel like I've also heard a lot of, Havertz and Gherkins or Gyökeres, whatever you want to call them. The minutes at the beginning of the campaign may not be completely decided just yet. Do you see them playing alongside each other, or do you see them in, I don't want to say competition, because they just spent big. He's going to play, but you see those opening fixtures, United, Liverpool in 3, City and Newcastle game weeks 5 and 6, and then they do get noticeably, I don't want to say easier, because there's no easy games in the Prem, but we're not talking Liverpool, City, Newcastle in 3 out of 4. What's your take? Like, do you think Arteta's, is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think when he says that, Havertz was bought to basically play the left 8 position in midfield, and then was forced up top, due to injury. So when he says that, he wants him to play in midfield when he plays in that left 8 role, plays very close to the striker. Gets in behind, makes runs in, runs behind. I mean, yeah, late in the game, you'll see them both up top. They're both tall, physical strikers, and you'll be sending balls in the box if we're trailing. I see them both together starting in a game as a 4-4-2. That's not what Arteta plays. But then it gets interesting then, because if Havertz starts in midfield, then you're not playing one of Rice, Zubimendi, or Odegaard. I guess Havertz could technically play like a left wing role. I mean, he's very versatile, but we haven't seen them do that yet. So I think.
So who is starting the left? Madueke?
Martinelli.
Monday, right? Arsenal's game, I think, is Monday of next week. I would say Martinelli gets the start. Madueke has been coming in the last 2 friendlies. He's come off the bench as a left winger, predominantly a right winger. So that'll be interesting, but he is left footed. So it gives us a different look. I think he'll be the sub for now, unless an incoming comes in the next
Popular opinion is Chelsea
weeks.
fleeced Arsenal for Madueke.
I've heard that from
Yeah.
at least two people.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't like to say any transfers fleeced until they actually play for the club. We've seen a lot of not great players leave clubs and go on to have great seasons. I mean, when Thierry Henry joined Arsenal, and they put him out as a left winger.
Who?
Oh, just the greatest Premier League player of all time. There's a lot of scrutiny about that transfer too. So not comparing Madueke to Thierry Henry.
You did.
I think
It was the first thing you thought of.
I'll take a 23-year-old England international, at Arsenal any day.
Yeah.
As far as Arsenal assets go, though, you're staying away from Havertz, Martinelli.
It's the big boys. It's Saka, it's Gabriel Saliba, depending on your choice there. I would avoid even like Lewis Skelly, at 5.5. It's just a tough price point, and I don't think he provides enough in attack. And
he was really highly owned.
yeah, it's interesting. I think people are trying to get a cheaper way into Arsenal's defense, but if Gabriel's not fully healthy to start the year and misses out, it's not what I really want to get into. Look at his stats back up.
5%.
5%.
I mean, in 15 starts last year, he had 1 goal scored, no assists. I mean, he doesn't really get down the left wing like a traditional left back, right? Arsenal plays that inverted fullback role, so he's more in midfield. He's not really
Calafiori's first choice on the left, right?
No, I think Lewis Skelly will be first choice.
Really?
Calafiori played there yesterday.
That's why I thought.
It's a different look. Calafiori will get further forward. He's a bit more attacking. I think if Arsenal's fully healthy, they have a lot of rotation that they can do. So it's besides, like I said, it's like your Gabriel, Saliba, Raya, Aka, and then we'll see about the striker. But I think with Gyökeres scoring yesterday in the minutes he got, I think he's going to be the number 9 to start the year.
You think he's the number 9 Arsenal have been missing?
I think
Arteta's been looking for one for years.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the one Arteta personally wanted. I think the coach talked about it. No, I think
in paradise.
I think Sesko, just given his age and the way he plays, would fit Arsenal's system today. I think Gyökeres will be like what City had to do for Haaland. They're gonna have to change the way they play to accommodate him. Optimistically, I hope Arteta sees that. You saw some changes yesterday in the friendly, but if they don't and they just continue to pass back and forth monotonously, then you're not going to get the best out of him. So if he gets the service, he's going to be great. So, but if you remember when Haaland first came to City too, those first month or so, City looked the same, and then they kind of flipped the switch and figured out how to. Oh, we got this big mammoth of a striker. Let's use him. So
Viking.
yeah. So we'll see.
Well, before we go, I don't know if it's a tradition yet, but I'd love to hear. I mean, your initial draft is already a bit of a hot take, but what is something that is, I think, under the radar that maybe our listeners are not thinking of, or maybe they're not seeing that you are, or just a prediction, bold prediction? What do you got? Anything stand out?
For Prem in general or for fantasy?
Wow. How about one for each?
Fantasy hot take, I'll say Cole Palmer outscores Salah this year.
I love that.
I think Chelsea and Cole have a great year. And hot take for FPL, I'll say this is the year that it's such a homer pick. I'm going to say this is the year that Arsenal wins the title. Which I think nobody's talking about, so I'll consider that a hot take.
We'll give you a second one for FPL, and you can skip the Premier League one if you'd like.
That's all I got. Those are the two. I'm sticking by it.
Wow, what a way to sign off. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Your handle?
FPL_Black Lab.
Give it a follow. Love to see how the strategy works out over the course of the year.
Yeah, follow along. We'll see if the commitment stays all year.
And you are in the Tinker Time League, so people could follow you there.
Yep, I am in the league, so follow along the strategy, and if send me a tweet with what your best no Holland, no Salah draft is, and I'll give you any pointers I can.
Yeah, we love to have guests on, especially knowledgeable ones, good friends, if you will. But that being said, this has been a ton of fun. Before we wrap up, just a quick shout out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all of our platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Our Instagram is live now. Drop a comment. Any of your biggest surprises, questions, last-minute deadline questions, let us know. We're tinkering. We know you're tinkering. We love to help where we can. You might even give us a tip.
Send us your squad. Maybe
Send
more
us your
people have
squad.
Devaney.
Definitely, man. We got to check his ownership. Just one other reminder. Join our mini league. Mini league code will be in our description, as always. Still plenty of spots. I think we still have plenty of spots for those first 10. First 10 get prize.
That's true.
To be determined what that prize will be.
And I think Austin's still looking. Whoever has the second highest score out of the Portuguese league, he's going to send you a T-shirt.
But until then, next episode, I can't believe it. We're going to be at our deadline up.
Yeah. So
We made it,
prepared.
folks. We made it. But until then, happy tinkering.
talk to you soon.
Draft dreams rise like morning sun. chasing points, the game's begun. Big decisions week by week. Fantasy glory's what we seek. Pick your squad, the clock